Hi, good morning. Welcome. We usually start off with music, but because we've been banned, they'll ban our show because of our rights and everything. So we're kind of trying to, not have that happen because we want, people to join us. So thank you guys for joining as always. It's Wednesday, another beautiful day. Well, it's a little gloomy, but it doesn't matter. What do they say? April showers brings May flowers.
Yes,
So
that's true. Good
so
morning, Karina.
good morning, Karina. Thank you for joining us. So, we want to just get into it today. We are short two of our agents. One of them is on vacation in Florida, enjoying herself, which that's what we work hard for. And the other one had a golf tournament that she is supporting a good cause. So she's out there representing us as well. So enjoy your day, girls, while me and Jessica are here putting in the work. So, um, but we're just going to get into how the real estate market's doing. We're seeing a lot. The buyers are still out there lining up, waiting to see homes, and appointments are filling up so fast because these buyers just want these homes. And we're getting, I'm on different forums, as I mentioned before, with different agents. And, we are starting to see some agents try to to talk to their clients about not doing anything they're not comfortable with, because a lot of buyers don't really understand the contract. And what happens is the agent is assuming or deciding for them, and they're in escrow, and then it ends up creating a really bad situation. We're seeing a lot of agents saying, hey, I didn't know that this meant that, and I wasn't aware of this. So just always make sure you have the right representation. Make sure you understand when you buy a home and remove a contingency, especially of inspections, that you're agreeing to buy that home regardless. You can't cancel based on inspections because you're waiving. You're saying I'm taking it as is, no matter what it is. So, understanding what it is that you're signing is so important. And I understand that there's a shortage, but just know, we've been doing this for so long that what's meant to be is going to be. If that's your home, it's your home. You don't have to, beg for it and do all those crazy things. It's going to line up for you. And we've proven that over and over again by, submitting offers for our clients that we're not, coming in ridiculously, agreeing to pay above and doing all these crazy things. I was talking to a client yesterday who basically said the same thing. He's like, Sonia, I want this home and I'll do anything for it, anything. And I'm like, anything? Like, really? So, it's starting to become, a lot of people are very competitive. And, but you know what? Don't be, don't let it get to where you're going to have regret, the once you move in and now, you paid 50 or 60,000 above what the value is. I mean, it just, just make sure it's worth it. I've been asked, would I do that? As an agent, would you spend that money? And you know what? It just really depends on if that home is very unique, it has everything I've ever wanted and I've just never seen it. And I'll be honest with you, in all my years of real estate and all the homes that I've shown, there's never been one home where I've said, this is it. Because it's just like a partner. You're not going to get everything you want. So you have to figure what's negotiable and what's non-negotiable, right? So you have to decide what you're okay with and what you're not okay with. So same thing with your home. Same thing with your home. But yeah, what we're seeing, buyers, continuing to call and who's buying, who's buying right now. And you'd be surprised. I'm even surprised. I get calls from different buyers who are making great money, and they're deciding that it's time for them to be a homeowner, and it could be because of the pandemic. They were, in a rental. Maybe their landlord was like hassling them. Who knows? Or maybe they just felt the sense of we want to have our own now. We want to be able to, if we're told we have to stay in, we want to stay in our own home. We have to do, what we want to do. So, and a lot of homeowners have really done some beautiful upgrades. We stay in touch with all of our clients, and, they've been sending us photos of all the upgrades and everything that they've been doing since they've been home. And it's a great feeling, and they're thanking us for helping them get into this home and all the things that they've done to it. So it's definitely a beautiful feeling, to be a homeowner. So, but anyhow, let's get into what the market is doing. Good morning, Katie. So we have, we're going to go through just 3 cities. Typically, we go through more than that, but like I mentioned, the girls aren't here to represent their cities today, so we'll just go through 3 cities. So the first one is Jurupa Valley. So this area is located in Riverside County, and right now this is a 21 active listings on the market. So there's 21 homes, which is not very many. 79 are under contract. So 79, this is actually the last 30 days, and 33 have closed. And your average listing price, $554, with sales price $570. So sellers are still, and like I feel like we're repeating ourselves for the last months, because a year ago, exactly 1 year ago, everybody thought the sky was falling, and sellers were basically lowering the price 20, 30,000 just to get rid of it because they were afraid and they were fearful. So those buyers who bought last year, March and April, I think got the best deals at that time. They were the smart ones. They proceeded. Some buyers said, I'm going to cancel because the market's going to go down and I'm going to get a better price. And then they came back in October and were like, what the heck is happening? So, just always, do what's right for you and your family, make the decision based on that. But now we're seeing, the prices, the average sales prices always being more than the list price. 13 days on the market is your average days on market. So not very long. Ontario, 54 listings on the market and 125 under contract. So they're selling. As soon as they come up, they're selling. They're gone. 80 have closed in the last 30 days. 537 is your average list price, with the sales price being 555,000. Again, above the listing price. 10 days on the market. So once you sign that contract, start packing, because it's not going to sit there. And in Chino, 31 listings currently on the market, 89 under contract, 66 have closed, 641 average list price, 721 average sales price. Wow, that's a substantial difference with 20 days on the market, which is still a low price. And I actually have a client who contacted me. I want to say it was in January, end of January, asking me for what their price, like an estimate of their value. And at that time, it was about 620. That was what the comps had sold for in November, December. So January, we told her 620. She called me last week and she says, can you give me an update as to what our value is? Because they're trying to time it, based on their circumstances. And I was blown away. It's 700 now. The last homes have sold at nearly 700 in a matter of months. So, yeah, if you're looking to sell, I mean, right now obviously is a great time if it makes sense for you and where you're going to go. Definitely, it's a great time. I've been in the real estate business 24 years, and I've never seen it appreciate as fast as it's appreciating. So definitely, get a consultation so we can guide you and make sure it's the best thing for you and your family. So today, we are super excited because we have a very, very special guest. I think we've been hearing a lot. I know my agents in our brokerage have been asking me a lot about Proposition 19. And I was looking for someone that I felt that was going to be able to give us the facts, give us the information, so that way we understood. We just hear, Proposition 19, oh, Proposition 19, and oh, it's changed, and oh, this, and oh, that. But it's like, we need to understand it so we can educate our consumers that are asking about it. So I just wanted to welcome Jennifer Felten. She is a real estate attorney. And so I'm going to let her take the floor, and she's going to just give us as much information as we need to. And I hope you guys learn as much as we're ready to learn. Thank you so much, Jennifer, for joining us this morning.
Yes. Good morning. Hold on. Share screen.
So just a little introduction about Jennifer. She's principal owner of RE Law APC, a boutique real estate law firm specializing in escrow title and brokerage law, real estate development, estate planning, and probate. She worked in the real estate industry since 1993, both on the transactional side as an escrow officer and now as an advisor and litigator on the legal side. And she's currently licensed as an attorney, notary, and a real estate broker.
All right, so I put there we go, sharing my screen, perfect. Good morning, everyone. I am Jennifer Felten. I am very excited to be able to talk to you about Prop 19. As an attorney, this proposition has been very influential in my business in the last few months because there's a lot of timing in this bill, and it affects how real estate transactions are done and how properties are taxed. So we've been very busy as a result of Prop 19. California Association of Realtors sponsored this proposition, and their idea was to get you guys busy. They got us attorneys busy too. So it's always good for business when there's new laws. So we are going to talk about, Prop 19. Again, this is about property taxes. So any discussion of property taxes has to start with Proposition 13 in California. Prop 13 is what keeps our property taxes relatively low as compared to many other states. The reality is, like every state, property taxes are a major part of the state's revenue. And the assessed value is what the property is taxed on. That assessed value is based upon the purchase price of the property historically, and then it is limited by Prop 13 to an increase of only 2% a year. So when you buy a house, even though, we just saw property values are going up. I mean, the last statistic I saw is I think we're up 14% year over year on property values average throughout the state. If we were taxed based upon the fair market value, we'd all be seeing 14% property tax bill increases. That's horrific for property owners. Prop 13 keeps that from happening. It limits that increase to 2% a year. Prop 13 is the result of Howard Jarvis and the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Fund. They actually passed their proposition in 1978. So that's how long we've been having our lower property taxes in California. What Prop 13 did is it said there are only two things that can trigger reassessment of a property in California. One is a sale, right? So a change of ownership triggers reassessment. The other is completion of new construction. If you do not have one of those triggering events, they can only increase the taxes 2% a year. And this applies to all real estate, residential, commercial, no matter who owns it. This is one of the true positives for taxes in California because it does keep our taxes relatively low on properties. Though, the higher property values go, the more taxes there are. That's just the reality. So Prop 19 has two parts to it. The first deals with parent-child transfers. So in California, since 1986, we've had a rule that said if a parent transfers their property to their child, if it was the parent's principal residence, the child can keep the tax basis. The property is not reassessed. So it is not considered a transfer under Prop 13 rules. Okay, so I can take my home, I can give it to my children, and they could keep the tax basis. All right, that's the old rules. In addition, if I owned a property that is not my principal residence, a commercial property, a rental, a second home, if I transferred that to my child, they could keep the basis up to $1 million off of the new value, right? So these were benefits for this generational transfer of properties. Prop 58 was parent to child. Prop 193 was grandparent to grandchild. And so that gave us that ability for grandchildren as well in certain circumstances. So this rule has been changed by Prop 19. Under the new rules, a parent-child transfer where the parent lived in the property is capped at $1 million benefit. So they can get $1 million off the property tax reassessment if a parent transfers a property to their child, but only if the child makes the property their principal residence. So that's a big difference, right? If I have 3 children, if I were to pass away and my children were to inherit my property, are all 3 of them going to move in so that they can keep the lower property taxes? Unlikely, right? So that's one of the issues and one of the concerns with this is that parent to child transfer is limited in dollar amount and in who can do it and how. And the transfer of non-owner occupied property is not exempt. So if I were to give my rental property to my child, they would get reassessed at market, right? So understand, Prop 19 truly is a tax increase bill. This change in inherited ability to transfer properties is going to increase property taxes significantly across the state, okay? So example of how this works. And I'm using big numbers because it's easier to kind of see how this works. Mom has a principal residence worth $4 million that's assessed at $500,000, right? So she's owned it for a long time. It's got a low basis, but it's worth a lot now. She also owns a commercial property worth $5 million that's assessed at $1 million, right? So again, long-term property, you can get these really low assessments. Average property taxes are about 1.2% in California. So mom would be paying $15,300 in property taxes for both properties today. Okay. So mom says, okay, I'm going to give these properties to my son. Do they get reassessed? And if so, at what value? All right. So first, do they get reassessed? Oh, yes, they do get reassessed. All right. The son maintains that home as his principal residence. His new basis is going to be $3 million, which is the $4 million current fair market value less a $1 million benefit, right? So he's going to be assessed at $3 million, and on that commercial property, it's going to be reassessed to market, so $5 million from $1 million. So we're looking at significant tax increases. The new assessed value for the two properties is $8 million instead of the $1.5 million, $3 million for the house, $5 million for the commercial. Property taxes are now $96,000, right? So a $78,000 per year increase in property taxes. Under the old rules, the reassessment would have been $3.5 million. Right, 500 for the house because you would have kept it at where it was, and 3 million for the commercial, and the taxes would have been 35,700. Okay, so more than double that we're seeing an increase because of this change in Prop 19. So this is the part of Prop 19 that I'm not a huge fan of. I'm not a big fan of property taxes and increases, but that's the reality, right? So that's what this bill does on the parent-child inheritance side. And understand that part was not the part Carr wanted, right? Carr wanted the second half, which we're going to talk about. They made a deal. I mean, that's just the reality, is they made a deal to get what they wanted by giving up something, right? So when we do have a parent-child transfer, if I give a property to my child, the transfer of the basis does not happen automatically. You do have to file forms with the local assessor. So they've updated this parent-child form. If you need it, feel free to reach out to me. Title companies have it. We can get it to you. But if you want to keep that basis for your child, with that parent-child transfer, you still have to file this form to keep the basis. Okay. So understand, Carr did sponsor Prop 19. And the second half, the part I'm going to talk about now, is what they cared about. And what this has to do with is people being able to move their basis, right? California has always had the ability for senior citizens to move their basis in their property. The old rule was Prop 60, and under Prop 60, anyone who was 55 years or older could sell their house and move their basis so that they could go buy another house and not see these huge property tax increases. But there were limitations, significant ones. First, they had to buy a house that was equal or lesser value to the house they sold. And they had to do it within 2 years, right? So we had a 2-year window, and it was allowed once in your lifetime under the old rules. And under the old rules, you had to stay in the same county. So I live in Ventura County. I would have to sell my home in Ventura County and buy another house in Ventura County under the old rules. That was Prop 60. Prop 90 had a little bit more of an extension, and what it did, it created reciprocity between 10 counties in California. So Alameda, Los Angeles, Orange, Riverside, San Bernardino, San Diego, San Mateo, Santa Clara, Tuolumne, and Ventura. If you were in one of those counties, right, if I owned a house in one of those counties, I could sell and buy in any of those other 9 counties and still keep my basis if I met all those other rules. All right. So this was the old rule. This is what Carr wanted to expand. Okay. And so Prop 19 does that. Prop 19 now allows a transfer of basis. And it not only are we talking about people over 55, we also can include anyone who's disabled or a wildfire victim. So there's more classes of people who qualify for the transfer. And under the new rules, you can buy up. So whereas before you had to buy a house that was worth what your house was worth or less, now you can buy something that's worth more and still keep your basis up to the value of your old property. We still have a 2-year window, but now it's allowed 3 times in your lifetime, not just once. So you can do it a couple of times. The wildfire victim one is a one-timer, but otherwise it's 3 times. And the big kicker, you can go to any county in California. Okay, so you can go anywhere. I think one of the things we're seeing a lot, I live in Ventura County, like I said, the county up from us is Santa Barbara. Santa Barbara was not in the old counties with reciprocity, so we couldn't move to Santa Barbara and keep our basis, and now we can. So I'm seeing a lot of people do that, take their home, sell it in Ventura County, and move to Santa Barbara, whereas they couldn't do that before and keep the tax basis. All right, so again, we're going to do a little example. Mr. Smith is 61, right? So he qualifies for the transfer of his basis. He has a home in Altadena that he's going to sell. It's worth $1 million, and he's going to buy a beachfront condo in Ventura for $1.2 million. All right. So the assessed value of the home is $425,000. So he's had it for 10, 15 years. 1.2 tax rate. We're looking at $5,100 a year in property taxes today. So can Mr. Smith transfer his current assessed value to his new condo? So yes, he can, right? So we can move our basis this time, but there will be some adjustments because he is buying up. So the new assessed value is going to be $625,000, not $1.2 million, which is the fair market value. And the way we come to that number is his old assessed value is $425,000 based on $1 million value. The new value is $200,000 more, which is how we get the $425,000 plus the $200,000 gets us to $625,000. So his new property taxes are going to be $7,500 at the $625,000 at 1.2%. This is a significant decrease. Under the old rules, he would have been paying $14,400 in property taxes a year. So he's saving almost half on his property taxes under this new rule. Almost $7,000 a year in property taxes being able to move his basis. So this is what Carr wanted, right? Carr wanted us to be able to do this and move our properties. So again, there's new forms that you will need to file. Your transfer of your basis does not happen automatically. So one of the big questions that came about with these new rules is the date and the timing. The moving of your basis is effective under Prop 19 as of April 1st. So the question was, if I sold my house before April 1st, but I didn't buy a new house until after April 1st, was that good enough? Could I go under the new rules? And the Board of Equalization has said yes, that as long as one side of the transfer happens after April 1st of this year, you can move your basis. So if you sold something last year and are buying this year, you're okay. Or if you bought something last year and are going to sell your house this year after April 1st, you're fine. Okay, you can still keep that lower basis. So why Carr wanted this, and one of the really good things that I think Carr has done with this is they want this as an opportunity for you guys to reach out to owners who are older, who have had their home for a long time, and tell them, look, here's this advantage. Maybe it is time to sell. We all know how few properties are on the market right now. Now's the time, right? And honestly, it is a seller's market right now. So Carr has done a great job. I'm a licensed broker, so I'm a member of Carr. I have access to all their documents. They have a beautiful section on their website about Prop 19. This is a sample email that they put together for you to send to your clients. They have several sample documents of how to reach out to people and provide the information about Prop 19, encourage dialogue, and potentially finding new listings. Okay, so Carr's statistics, they think this is going to trigger 30,000 new transfers a year, right? That's 30,000 more sellers out there because they can move their taxes. That's CAR's actuarials relative to this. So that's real sellers, right? In a time when we need them. So definitely something for you guys to think about and talk about. There are some questions about Prop 19. The bill wasn't written real great. So there are 2 bills in the legislature right now that are designed to clarify it. One is Prop 539, which will add some clarifying language to some of the questions that we have about Prop 19. The second is SB 668. If 668 goes through the 2-year, the parent-child rule, which went into effect February 16th of this year, would get extended to February 16th of 2023. It would give people a couple more years to do that estate planning and determine if transfer would happen. So neither of these have passed yet, but they're potentials that would give us more time. So if these do happen, I will let you guys know so that you have that information to talk to your people. So there's just a little summary of the benefits and deficits of the new rules. All right. So I do have a 1-page little flyer with like who, what, when, where. I will email that to Jessica so that if you guys need it, you can reach out to them and get it. So this is a real helpful, just kind of what it is, what it does, down and dirty. So that's it. That's my info on Prop 19. I hope that was helpful and interesting and get you all up to date on how that is working. All right.
Thank you so much. That's a lot of information, but it's a lot of great information. I have a couple questions for you.
Yes.
So, like you were saying, it's not automatic. You know, you have to apply for it. So for an agent who is educating their consumer and saying, hey, this is an option for you. We can sell your home. You can buy a new home. You can, you know, basically transfer your tax rate with you. How are they being qualified? So in other words, when they go to their lender and now they're buying another home at $500,000, let's just say,
right?
Obviously, you're going to calculate the taxes based on that tax rate. Let's just say 1.25%. But we know that their taxes obviously are going to be substantially less.
Right.
How is that calculated? When and like, is that explained to us? Like, so they have to qualify because obviously the lender is going to want to see. And how soon and what are you seeing is it taking for the county to, you know, take into effect the new taxes? Are they going to see it the following year? Do they get refunded? Is it prorated? You know, stuff like that.
Yeah. So from a lending standpoint, if you have a bright progressive lender who knows what's going on, they're going to be able to show that this person is going to keep their basis, and they should be able to qualify them based upon what their new taxes are going to be, not based upon the fair market value of the house. But that's going to be an underwriting question and a how knowledgeable is the lender question, all those kinds of things, right? And some I find, you know, if you go with a big bank, you know, Wells Fargo or Chase, they're not going to, in my experience, you're not going to get that same level of analysis, right? It's a big bank with a big checklist versus a mortgage broker who is going to be able to work with you, know you, and work with whoever they're going to sell it to and try and get you a better deal. So it's who you're working with, right? And having those right relationships on that side. From a practical standpoint, property tax assessment is a real difficult thing in California because of Prop 13. And so because they don't assess a property every year, right? They only do it when a transfer happens. There's not enough assessors to match the time and the amount of transfers that happen. And they think this is going to just add to that, by the way. So it takes the county often a year to reassess a property, right? So, and the tax year in California is kind of crazy because it's July 1st to July 1st, right? We don't use a calendar year, but they assess based upon January of that year. So right now we're in the 2020, 2021 tax year, right? In July, we will start the 2021-22. But they've already set the assessed values for 21-22 as of January of this year. Okay. So any sale that happens now through the end of the year, they're going to be on an old tax bill, right? So what happens is we get supplemental tax bills. That is how the assessor deals with it, is they supplement afterwards. So it's going to depend on the timing of, if I file the exemption and that gets processed before the supplemental gets processed, I may not ever see a supplemental, or I may not get a bill. Or if I'm buying a house that's worth $1.2 million, my old seller had maybe a $900,000, but I'm moving my basis from $450,000, I might get a refund, right? Because I'm going to pay taxes based on that $900,000 value. And then eventually it goes back to the $450,000 for when my time starts on the property, right? So it's just going to depend on timing. When you file your paperwork, when they get around to reassessing it, and you may get a big bill that gets reversed later. We see this often with inherited properties. And one of the issues is, if I have a property in a trust, and I die, right? My kids might leave it in the trust for a while. They may not sell it for a couple of years, right? And if they do not file an affidavit notifying the assessor that I've passed away and file that parent-child exemption, that property is subject to reassessment from the date of my death, okay? But the assessor's not going to find out about it until they go to sell that property and they file that affidavit of death, and it shows that there's a transfer of the trustee. It's going to have my death certificate. It's going to say when I died. All of a sudden, they're going to go back and reassess all of those years at the new fair market value. I had a client, it was like $200,000. He got reassessed because he hadn't filed the parent-child, and it was like 5 years, and it was a commercial property, right? So that, like, paying attention to this and managing this is really important to mitigate the potential, because the benefit of Prop 13 is great, but when it's not used right, it's a real heavy burden, right?
Correct. Okay, and where would they get the forms? Like you're saying, who would provide the forms? Do they have to go to the county directly? When should they start applying?
So you have to complete both ends of the transaction, right? Or if it's a parent-child, you do it after the deed. The deed has to record, or the death has to happen. A death is a triggering event for reassessment. So if there's a death, you file the form, or if you transfer the property, you file the form, and you have a window to do that after, which is 1.5 years to do that, or it gets reassessed. You can apply after if it does get reassessed, but you can only claw back some of it. So it's really important. And on the transferring your basis, you file it after you've both bought and sold, right? You got to complete both ends of the transaction. The documents are online. So the State Board of Equalization's website has them, or each county's assessor's office has all of the forms. But I can also tell you, all the title companies have access to them. Attorneys have them. I mean, they're public documents. So anyone like that can help you out in getting copies of the documents. If you need help filling them out, I would recommend an accountant or an attorney to help fill them out, because they're going to understand the tax consequences and make sure things are filled out properly. Okay,
perfect. Well, thank you so much, Jennifer. Again, we appreciate what a wealth of knowledge, and thank you. Thank you very much for joining us today and sharing that information. We'll look forward to your email of your one page information, and
Perfect.
we'll definitely share it with everybody. And I'll have Jessica display your contact information again, so that way if anyone has any additional questions or would like to reach Jennifer, feel free to reach out to her directly. I don't know what's the best way for them to reach out to you.
Email is by far the best.
Okay.
Email me. I get too many inputs, right, in the world we're in today. So email is the one thing I sit in front of all day long. So that'll get you the quickest response.
Perfect. Okay, well, wonderful. Well, again, thank you so much. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. And we are trying to display the information.
Oh, good.
There you go.
Okay. It has been one of those days.
Technology.
Yeah. But thank you again, Jennifer. Have a beautiful day. And thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll see you guys in a couple weeks. Thank you. Have a great day.